Oh, man. All right, Colts Nation, here it is. We've got a heavyweight fight on our hands, and it's not the one we want to see. This is not Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou, okay? This right here is Jim Irsay versus Jonathan Taylor, and I assume you've already seen the tweet and know exactly what I'm referring to, but just to be safe, I'll go ahead, I'll read it. I'll quote Jim Irsay directly from his Twitter. Here it is. Jim Irsay tweets out, and quote, NFL running back situation. We have negotiated a CBA, that's a collectively bargained agreement, that took years of effort and hard work and compromise in good faith by both sides. To say now that a specific player category wants another negotiation after the fact is inappropriate. Some agents are selling bad faith. And now this isn't a quote, I don't have it up in front of me, but essentially Jonathan Taylor's agent came out and said, you know what's in bad faith, Jim? Not paying your best offensive player. And I just have so many thoughts on this situation that I don't even know where to start. Listen, I love our owner. I love Jim Irsay. I know it doesn't sound like it. I released a video recently, and I was scathing, really, in my feelings about him. And it's because this guy suffers from a severe case of foot and mouth syndrome. Bring it back a few weeks. Let's talk about Jim Irsay on the Pat McAfee show. Do you remember when he was talking about what I took away from it was the quarterback situation? I didn't like what he had said in that moment about the fact that he wanted Anthony Richardson to start. After the turbulent season that we have had and really the attention that came with Andrew Luck's retirement, I know it's a while ago, but in terms of the Indianapolis Colts, we have been very much in the headlines in recent years and mostly for the wrong reasons. I didn't like the fact that he brought attention and pressure onto the coaching staff when looking at this quarterback situation. I wish he had just kept his mouth shut. But what I didn't think about at the time was when he was asked about Jonathan Taylor's injury and Shaquille Leonard's injury, he essentially said that Jonathan Taylor was all healed up and Shaquille Leonard, well, you know, he was working hard, right? Very ambiguous. The same stuff we had been getting about Shaquille Leonard. And now fast forward to now, we're at training camp. Yesterday was the first day of training camp, and Shaquille Leonard is the one on the field and Jonathan Taylor is not. And I mean, who would have thought that was going to happen, right? And I see some people comparing all of this to the Edgar and James situation, and it is an apples to orange comparison for a number of reasons, but I'll just give you a few of them. Number one, Edgar and James was going into his 8th season. He was on his 2nd contract. Peyton Manning had already broken a single-season touchdown record, NFL history, right? That was the one. It was 49 touchdowns. Now I think it's 55. The Colts were a perennial AFC contender for the Super Bowl, representing the AFC in the AFC Championship game. I said that wrong. You get my point. I'm getting a little worked up. Point being is that those were two situations. So I'm going to give all my thoughts, or at least as many of them as I could spout off right now, in this video, because this right here is is not good. I don't want to overreact per se, but at the same time, I want to lay out what I'm observing, and that is what it is. So we're going to get into my thoughts on kind of Jim Irsay's tweet and the argument between the owners and the players. I'll kind of give my take on that. I'll probably talk a little bit about the running back pay situation. And, whatever else falls into that will fall into that. But before we get into it real quick, let me just introduce myself. If you've never been here before, my name is Justin. This is the Ride in the Bench Coltscast. Thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. It's one thing you clicked it, but now you've listened for a few minutes. Spectacular. The one thing I ask is if at any point during this, or if you're already enjoying it, go ahead, shoot it a like. That's going to get me out to as many Colts fans as humanly possible. I'm trying to become a major player in the Colts community. And if you want to follow along, help me get to 1,000 subscribers, you could go ahead and do that. I think we're at 995 over here, at least as I record this. So it's quite possible that by the time you subscribe, we're already at 1,000, but you could do it anyway, particularly the returning listeners. If you've been here a few times and you've enjoyed the channel and I'm keeping you coming back, I wouldn't mind if you hit that subscribe button. But with that, let's get into the body of the episode. So let's talk about this Jim Irsay situation and really kind of the perspective of the owners versus the perspective of the players. And I, as much as anybody, I kind of have like an entrepreneurial spirit, right? And I don't say that to brag. I say that to kind of lend to the fact that I tend to almost not side with the owners in this situation, but I tend to be sympathetic towards their point of view. And when you talk about something that's collectively bargained, here's my problem. When you're looking at Jim Irsay saying, hey, you guys already negotiated this situation, right? Number one, I don't know this for sure. I'm taking a guess. I'm 99% sure I'm right. Jonathan Taylor didn't have a seat at the table, okay? When you're talking about something that's unionized, something that's collectively bargained, you kind of have like this committee, this party, I don't know the technical term, but you have a group of individuals that are representing the whole, right? So let's say you have like a billion players in the league. I don't know the exact number. You kind of have this select group of them that are negotiating by and large. So to take the negotiation, even though this is the way it works, these are the rules, to take the negotiation of those few and try to dismiss the, I don't know, the displeasure of a guy like Jonathan Taylor from that negotiation, number one, I think is bogus. I think that's Jim Irsay trying to spin a narrative right here. And you look at the running back pay issue. I mean, this is like the hot topic of the NFL right now. I'm going to give what I feel is my solution here, okay? If I'm the Colts, in fact, specifically the Colts, you're carrying around $20 million in cap. You just drafted a guy by the name of Anthony Richardson who's about to be on a rookie contract where you just gave him, 4 years, $33 million? I don't know if those are the exact numbers, something like that. Fully guaranteed. Obviously not a huge contract for a quarterback, but you gave him all of his money. That's more money than you've ever guaranteed to Jonathan Taylor, who carried your offense on his back in the year 2021 on a rookie contract. But that's neither here nor there. You have a guy who's on a rookie contract, right? Gardner Minshew's the highest paid quarterback on the roster. You consistently carry well over the amount of cap space. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did we not have like $40 million in cap space last year? Am I making that up? Maybe after Matt Ryan we didn't. Point being is right now we have $20 million, and we're looking at Jonathan Taylor in a contract year. You don't have to worry about paying your quarterback, the highest paid position in football, for quite some time. Now, I understand the perspective of you don't want to get a guy past his prime. You don't want to be stuck paying him in 4 years. Look at the Cowboys, let's say, with Ezekiel Elliott. They caved. They gave him his contract. Ultimately, he was overpaid. Le'Veon Bell, another one, a great example of this. But at the same time, no one was talking about the money when the running back was underpaid, right? And I understand business is business. But for me, I don't know. I mean, when you're like looking at free agents, right? If you're a free agent player and you're looking at this Colts running back situation, and trust me, you are, the entire league is watching this situation right now. If you're a prospective player for the Indianapolis Colts, you see this type of thing out of Jim Irsay. Does that make you want to go play for the Indianapolis Colts? I'm not saying it literally is like, no, I don't want to play for the Colts, but it certainly isn't something that's convincing anybody to an already small market team, right? So that's number one. Why is he public about this? Why does Jim Irsay feel the need to be public about this? Can't we just keep this behind closed doors? I mean, we didn't need Jim Irsay to come out and say this to know that clearly they have a disagreement, because Jonathan Taylor hasn't been signed. He's been visibly frustrated about this situation, and he's decided to sit out the first day of training camp and is potentially holding out. We don't exactly know what's going to happen here, but we know that Jonathan Taylor is fully healthy and ready to go, as per Jim Irsay, has passed a physical, yet it is not out there playing. Now, the Colts have the potential to have one of the best rushing attacks in football. This is a fan base, and I know there's fan bases that have suffered more. The Colts fans have suffered in recent years, and if you're ever going to pay the running back, why not do it while your quarterback is on the rookie contract? I mean, to me, this is just a no-brainer. Now, what I would be doing personally, if you're Jim Irsay, if you're Chris Ballard, who, by the way, in all fairness, in his media availability after the first day of training camp, didn't say anything negative like this. He basically said something along the lines of, sure, the running back situation's complicated. It's not a direct quote, but at the same time, if a player is great and he helps you win, we want to pay that guy. So it's possible that him and Irsay aren't even on the same page about this. But we talk about this right here. I would personally, knowing damn well that if Jonathan Taylor is on the field, you're riding him into the ground, I would be paying these guys, these running backs, as to one, I'm kind of off track. Let me reel it back, right? The owner's perspective. They don't want to pay a guy past his prime. I started this before, but a little behind the scenes. I'm starting to wean off the notes. So if I ever feel like I'm all over the place, it's because I'm trying to learn a little bit. I'm trying to get better, okay? So bear with me if I'm taking a while to get to where I need to be. But Jim Irsay, the owners, say we don't want to pay a running back past their prime. Again, Ezekiel Elliott, Le'Veon Bell, already mentioned this. The players are saying, hey, that's fine, but I'm kind of getting screwed here, particularly running backs, right? There are not many things in this life. For example, if you wanted to learn how to paint, if you wanted to learn how to make sausage, okay? Homemade sausage, not out of a package, okay? You go look up how to make sausage. You try a recipe. You say, I like this. Maybe I tweak this. Point being is you make it over and over and over and over again. And eventually, you're like an expert at making sausage. That's how most things go. The more you do it, the better you get. It's very, very rare that you don't get better at something by doing it. Playing running back in the NFL is one of those things, or so at least is the perception. Of course, you could get better at a young age, but by the time you're a starter and you've been doing it for multiple years, you're essentially just on like kind of like a downhill slope. You get worse by continuing to play running back, and these teams ride out these running backs on these rookie contracts and then all of a sudden turn it back around on them and say, hey, we can't overpay you. Look at what the market dictates. But when the guy was running for 1,800 yards and getting paid 3 times less than what his market value was, no one was talking about him being underpaid, right? But again, I get the owner's side of it, right? I'm going to be fair to the owner's side of it because I understand it's a business, and at the end of the day, he's the one writing the checks. If I'm Jim Irsay, if I'm the Colts, I'm looking at this particularly because we don't have to pay our quarterback, and we want this quarterback to be good. We want him to kind of have a foundation around him where he can succeed and ultimately become the guy that's going to be leading this team for the next 10 to 15 years. If you know that Jonathan Taylor is going to be the focal point of this offense, that the whole thing is going to run through him, essentially, right? Am I wrong about that? Is there any argument that this offense would run through Jonathan Taylor if he was on the field, at least for the next 2 years? We know that to be true. If that's the case, what is stopping you from just paying him? Even if it's 2 years, this is how I would do it. And this meets everyone in the middle, right? I could create a situation right now, and maybe there's something wrong with this because guys aren't doing it. To me, it's like a blatantly obvious solution. Tell me what you think about this in the comments section. By the way, why not just give him way over market value for like 2 years, fully guaranteed? This way, as the owner, you're saying, okay, in 1 year, I'm essentially just going to be on the last year of his deal again. So we have 2 years, and what are running backs getting paid? $12 million at most, maybe 15. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. Why not just give JT 2 years, $50 million, fully guaranteed, and just call it a day? This way, Jonathan Taylor doesn't feel like he's getting gypped. He's getting compensated fairly, not just for the work that we're going to put on him for the next 2 years, but also making up for some of what he got then. And then as the owners, you're looking at it and saying, well, okay, it's not like I'm stuck into this 5-year deal, right? So neither side feels like they're getting gypped at any part of the transaction. Is there a flaw in my line of thinking when I say that? Is that not something that would just be easy to do? And not for anything. Oh my goodness, can't we just pay him? I'm sorry to get emotional, and I know that some people are going to say, you can't pay the running back, blah, 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 blah. That is fine, whatever you say. I just proposed my situation. I want you to tell me that again in the face of the information that I just gave you. Tell me you can't pay Jonathan Taylor 2 years, fucking $50 million. I know that's above market value. I know that number's not on the money. I think he deserves every dime of that money, and I think that's what we should do, and I think it's a great way to meet in the middle. It gives Jonathan Taylor years of money in a situation where you know he's one of the most important players on the team. And as the Colts right now, you have been fluttering for a while. Jonathan Taylor is one of the best things to happen to this. Is the best thing to happen to this team, essentially, since we drafted Andrew Luck with the number overall pick. Now, I know that was bittersweet because of the Peyton Manning situation, all that stuff, right? We get it. I don't want to go too far off the Taylor situation. Jonathan Taylor is one of the best things to happen to the Colts in Lord knows how long. To me, this right here is disrespectful. And you're not in the business of putting asses in seats. I mean, I'm sure people will show up, but people aren't going to be happy if we don't sort this out with JT. And for me, there's really no excuse for us not to, particularly because it's not like we're paying the quarterback. So, I don't know. I mean, I could talk in circles forever about this, and, I'm going to stop. That's my point, is that I'm going to stop right now. I'm curious to hear what you think about this, because this one right here, we're in the very early stages of this situation. I hope it gets worked out sooner than later, but I have a feeling that this is not going to be a great situation. And again, it's very early. I don't know if Jonathan Taylor is going to be on the field week 1. If the Colts were to have a snowball's chance in hell at the wild card, Jonathan Taylor needs to be on this team. And for me, It just seems like the Colts are in a particularly good situation to be paying a running back. No matter how you look at it, this is a massive issue for running backs. This is a massive issue for the Colts. And this is a massive issue for Colts fans. And we're going to see how it unfolds as training camp continues into the season, so on and so forth. So with that, that's the entire episode for today. I'll be releasing at least one more this week, and hopefully two if I could come up with some stuff. But it seems like the news and the things to talk about are starting to bubble to the surface now. We had that dead period. So my name is Justin. This right here was the Ride the Bench Colts cast. Until next time, Colts Nation, that was it. Go Colts.